So hey guys, today we're going to be talking about Raigeki and why this card actually sucks and it never really mattered whether this card was banned, limited, or unlimited. So first off, Raigeki at the moment, I would argue, is just an inferior Dark Hole. And the reason being is that Raigeki only destroys monsters your opponent controls, whereas Dark Hole has the capabilities to destroy all monsters on the field, including your own. Now, why would you prefer this over Dark Hole? So, we have to consider the context in which Raigeki is being played. So, if I'm playing Raigeki going first, this card does absolutely nothing, and it'll only be live on turn 2. This might be the one and only situation where Raigeki is going to be a little bit better than Dark Hole. But at this point in time, if you were to use Raigeki like this, you were better off playing something else instead, like a hand trap, like let's say Ash Blossom Joy Spring. Because in this case, Ash Blossom Joy Spring is going to be potentially better going second and first, being able to trade off for let's say our opponent has branded fusion. We an Ash branded fusion, but technically if our opponent resolves branded fusion, we could just lose the duel on the spot, depending on exactly the situation. So Ash Blossom could potentially stop that. Raigeki, not so much. And if we get OTK'd, then yeah, we're absolutely cooked. Well, that is without considering the fact that our opponent might have protection as well, which Dark Hole could also potentially struggle with. But there are actually a multitude of cards where you'll lose against it if you play specifically Raigeki, but not Dark Hole. So just to show off a few, we have yugioh, which is just somewhere here. Somewhere. So yugioh has the effect that prevents you from summoning. You cannot summon or normal set monsters. But, of course, if you were to just remove yugioh from the field, you're no longer under these conditions. So, Dark Hole can remove yugioh. Can Raigeki remove yugioh? No. And then we have also Ibli, which is banned as of currently, but if you were to have a Ib on your field, Raigeki doesn't get rid of Ib. Dark Hole does, but this also does what Raigeki does. So this removes simultaneously your opponent's monsters and your own monsters, and this is why it's beneficial. And just for one more example, we also have the idea of Black Garden and getting hit by essentially token spam. So more or less, your opponent attempting to Ojama lock you, boom. Dark Hole is once again going to be better than Raigeki. So let's assume we're playing both of these as just one-ofs, as standalones in their own decks, right? If I play Dark Hole, I have a 10% chance to be able to win the duel if I'm staring down like some kind of Black Garden type stuff, yugioh, Ibli, whatever. And that's at 1 copy. At 3 copies, it's about 30%. And at Raigeki, 1, 3, doesn't matter. You could be playing 0 copies because it actually has no effect against these strategies, causing you to more or less just automatically lose because you were running Raigeki. And there's also the advantage of Raigeki being, well, disadvantage to Raigeki and advantage to Dark Hole for being cheaper. And also, technically, this is in where? Master Pack, Birth of a Challenger. I have no idea why, but I have 6 copies of Dark Hole that I cannot decraft. So I must have gotten them just somewhere. Not really sure where at this point. So it seems to not be the Legacy Pack. It must have been from a Duelist Cup or something, but still cheaper to craft than the Raigeki, and it's also just more efficient as a card. Somehow, some way. That's just how it works, I guess. On top of that, with Dark Hole, there is no downside to Dark Hole, even though it destroys your own monsters. unless specifically you're playing Dark Hole going first. Which begs the question, why are you even playing Dark Hole if you intend to go first? Because if you think about it in terms of going second, if I win the coin flip, I want to go second. If my opponent wants to win the coin flip, they're going first. So Dark Hole and Raigeki, if you're playing a going second deck, is always well positioned. And Raigeki just has no advantage over Dark Hole. There should be no context where I'm doing something like normal summon Chundra and then activating Dark Hole. I would probably activate Dark Hole or Raigeki first because of the nature of how the game works as well. So why would I play Raigeki then? There's literally no advantage over just destroying only monsters your opponent controls. Just for example, with Ibli, Ito, the only other card that would realistically out a lot of cards similar to this, but it doesn't quite work on Black Garden, is Forbidden Droplet. And the reasoning behind this is simply because you can just send Ito or, in this case, Ibli, to the graveyard as kind of cost for a Droplet to just potentially negate whatever interactions your opponent may have. And it's just, in general, I guess, useful. But, if we combine the two of these, so assuming there's a tech like this that's relevant, then we have around a 50% chance to open Dark Hole and Forbidden Droplet. So it's a 50% chance for you to be able to beat your opponent's strategy, which is decently consistent, versus if we were to be running Raigeki plus Forbidden Droplet, our chances of victory drop down to like 30%. So it's not exactly 2 times more likely, but it's close to 2 times more likely to win if we were to employ a strategy like this. And a lot of going second decks will enjoy playing Forbidden Droplet at the moment, giving you even more reason to play Dark Hole over Raigeki. The only reason that I think Raigeki being at a number bigger than 0, aside from, just being able to play Raigeki at all, is the fact that if you want to run Dark Hole plus Raigeki together, that would be a little bit more important. Otherwise, running 3 copies of Dark Hole seems pretty legit. But yeah, there are a bunch of cards with Raigeki-like effects, so if we did care about specifically a Raigeki effect, this doesn't have to be our only Raigeki option. We also have, of course, Kaiju Slumber, which has the effect to destroy as many monsters on the field as possible, similar-ish to Dark Hole. But this specifically will not be activatable, I believe, under Ibli because of the summon lock, for example. But yeah. Destroy as many monsters on the field as possible. Then special summon in attack position 2 Kaiju monsters with different names from your deck, but they cannot change their battle positions and must attack if able. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 Kaiju monster from your deck to your hand. So, a downside of Kaiju Slumber, I suppose, is that it can be ashed as well, and you need to run Kaijus for the effect to be resolvable, and they have to be 2 differently named Kaijus at minimum. And they have to specifically be summoned from deck, they cannot be summoned from hand. So that's a thing, I guess. A little bit moderately annoying that about 30% of the time your Kaiju Slumber just won't result because Ash Blossom Joyous Spring. So a little bit miserable there. But if we run this, we have 9 copies of essentially Raigeki, and then there are cards like Torrential Tribute, which are a little bit further, but this is essentially just Dark Hole, but as a trap. And then we have like Needle Sealing, destroy all face-up monsters. We have Lightning Vortex, which discards a card to destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls, which is also kind of a Raigeki-like effect. And then after this, there should be one more card, I believe, similar-ish to this, like quite a few. But we have, I guess, Blind Obliteration as well. Roll a 6-sided die twice and destroy all face-up monsters with levels/ranks lower than the total roll. This isn't like 100% consistent, but it's still a Raigeki-like effect, I suppose. Combined with like that 6, this is probably decently consistent. And then they're just monsters with Raigeki effect, I believe, right? And of course, I guess honorable mention to Dark Hole Dragon existing. I don't think there's a Raigeki dragon, is there? Yeah, I don't think so. We have anti-Raigeki. Do we have an anti-Dark Hole? I don't think so. Raigeki bottle. That's way too slow, I think. Crystal Raigeki. Okay, one card your opponent controls. Nah. Okay. Meanwhile, with Dark Hole, what do we have here? Gastrap Hole, White Hole. There's no anti Dark Hole, so you're safe from like anti-Raigeki type cards, I guess. So that's another good thing. If Dark Hole Dragon has this work again, let's see. Cannot be destroyed by card effects. You can only use each of the following effects of Dark Hole Dragon once per turn. If a monster in the field is destroyed by a card effect that does not target it, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from the graveyard if it was there when the monster was destroyed, or hand even if not. If this card is special summoned, you can activate this effect during the end phase of this turn. Add one Dark Hole from your deck to your hand. Okay, this effect is a bit too slow, but on the bright side, I guess Dark Hole Dragon does have cool art. Nice. But yeah, there's a Dark Hole Dragon. I don't see no Raigeki Dragon. That's all I'm saying. It's almost like Dark Hole's the better card or something. Thinking of downsides for destroying your own monsters as well, I just don't really see any. It's just purely upsides, unless you're doing this on a turn past like turn 2, basically. And in that case, there are still decks that do benefit off of Dark Hole, like for example, Tearlament is perfectly fine and content with destroying their own monsters because they'll trigger them. Unchained, they'll trigger them as well. Just for example, I guess. So yeah. Going from 2 to 3 it never really mattered. Going from 3 to 2 never really mattered either. The only reason you would play this is maybe if you had a Royal, I guess. Why would you play this over Dark Hole? Like, literally ever. Because, you know, Dark Hole would win you more games than Raigeki. It's not that likely at the moment that you'll get hit by some tech that's similar to yugioh or Ibli. But on the off chance you had to deal with something like that, this would be just better because it can. Whereas this can never, and there's no real downside to this. So yeah, it's just all upsides. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.